Morning guys, Saturday morning, well, another coffee morning. I thought I'd do a video today sort of covering 10 points, positive points, because it's very hard to get positive stuff these days because thanks to all the negative stuff that's going on. We're in a particularly odd spot at the minute because obviously there's the false food crisis type thing. Obviously Tesco's profited on that quite well, considering I think people forget how they were treating their farmers previously, and the state of its finances, to be sitting there on billions while everyone else is not literally starving, because food is still possible, but it does mean people have had it hard, a lot harder this year than previous years. But at the same time, we'll cover that topic in a minute anyway. Then obviously there's the pro-Palestinian, anti-Palestinian, the immigration, anti-immigration, pro-immigration, cost of housing, cost of this, cost of that, all that stuff. There's stuff outside of our control. It's very difficult to politically change it. The new hate law in Scotland, I would say that's more aligned in keeping us peasants suppressed rather than actually anything to do with hate whatsoever, because it's such a broad one. You will get those politically in power, those under positive influence of those that control things, that will use and abuse that to the max. I've seen it in the Philippines. I've seen politicians and those that can control things, they'll just crap on everyone else because they're creating this layer above everything else. And they'll pretend they're not. It's for you. It's for your benefit. I look at it this way: where politicians give me something, they've took something else. Then I was reading I think it's the police of England and Wales, 97% of them, I believe, want to leave the job in the next 2 years. There's really high stats. And I get it. I've got to admit, I've never been a fan of the police because I've always seen them as a taxman of the state, in the sense of they're there to use and abuse the public to carry out the duties of the state. Hence, you'll see them at every protest. Well, not every protest. It depends what the politicians want. They'll block some because it doesn't fit with their political alignment, while at the same time sit and befriend on other protests at the other side. Oh dear. Well, let's move on to the positive stuff. But the fact is, the police ain't happy because their faith in the government, I think their faith in the government, something like 80, was that 80? I think about 88%. So against. So you've got people that are in a state-sanctioned job that don't believe in the state. They don't believe in the way they're treated. Their pay, I think, had some pay issues from 2020. So they are not earning as well as we often think. And I say often think because it depends where you are and if you've managed to get a full career. But it's a bit like the army. The key to the army was doing your 22, because then you got your pension and all the stuff that you've sacrificed over the years. That was your big payout. But then what did they start doing? They stopped making people get to the 22. Good tax saving incentive, but at the same time, you start having problems with recruitment because there's no value in working in the army. There's no value working in the police. Lots of people think the same with the NHS, bizarrely. So that's all the negative stuff out there. So let's move on to the positive. So these are the sort of things I recommend looking at yourself, because these are for individuals, but it's a list of 10 things. But I do think these are better where you focus your mind rather than all the other stuff that you can't control. Unless it's actually going to a ballot box or a referendum, you're not going to change the other stuff. In fact, at the moment, they're pushing it to controlling even further, hence that Scottish hate law thing. There's just drivel at the minute. But I'll give you an example of how this sort of thing changes. On buildings, there's a thing called a TM44, which is to do with the uses of the air conditioning, the power usages, etc. It's an energy thing. When they brought in the legislation, I think it was £300. The fine was £300 for not doing it. But there is no substance to what the £300 means. So is that 300 a day, 300 an hour, 300 a month, or one £300 payment? Over time, you'll see this legislation move to a more critical stance, or other legislations in a similar way. Because the reason they do this is they'll go, well, why are you complaining about it? Well, you know, £50,000 fine is a bit excessive. Well, the law's been there for over 5 years. You've done nothing about it. It's been there for over 10 years. You've done nothing about it. It wasn't a problem before. It's because when you've got these little mini fines, people go, oh yeah, of course, out, yeah, get it done on Friday. But when you suddenly get hit with a massive fine, you protest it. And the point is, this is why you keep the little fines at the beginning, get people to accept it, becomes the norm. It's been there for a long time. We don't really fine or prosecute anybody. It's been there for 5 to 10 years. And then we can start prosecuting people because it's now tried and tested in law. So, yeah, anyway, it's just to sort of say, a lot of this stuff looks good on the surface, but as I say, I always look at if a politician's giving you something, what they took away. Don't trust any of them. So the first one is knowledge. This is the positive list. For me, knowledge is not just about studying books or whatever. It's about becoming informed and aware of everything. There's a friend of mine that I sort of educated him on how to read things because he was politically active but often got it wrong. So I explained to him is look for things like our sources, our sources, experts say, a poll states. Those types of things are all non-definitive. They're made up because they haven't stated which poll, who, or what. And even a poll, if you're looking for a certain demographic or whatever, you specifically go for an area, or you go for a certain product, and you know that, for example, if you're doing a poll on weight loss or dietary, taking the poll of people leaving the gym may be a good starting point. But at the same time, standing outside McDonald's may be a completely different demographic and result. But anyway, knowledge is not just about studying for work, you know, studying your new golf swing, whatever. It's also about becoming familiar with the stuff that's going on. The advantage of when you see the he says, these obscure things that are not specific. You know, they're not saying John blah 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 said this. Oh, this poll on this was taken for 1,000 people from this area. You know, specifics. If there's no specifics in it, it's garbage. Not even worth the time of reading it. It's just clickbait, etc. Try and avoid it. And one of the things I do recommend as well, and this is my personal thoughts, is avoid those websites, your Daily Mails and all that. Don't click on anything on those sites. Stay away from them. You're encouraging it. The less people that read that stuff, the less their revenue goes. The revenue's available. So the less advertising they get, the better. They're parasites. They're feeding off us. But also from your knowledge point, if you're looking at it from a work perspective, where do you want to go? So you may be thinking, well, I don't know what I need to do to get promoted. Well, find the type of job you want to do next. So, for example, if it's your boss's job, have a look at his LinkedIn. What courses has he done? What's his background? What's his knowledge base? Because you may be able to cover half of it with courses. The other half may need the experience, etc. But you may think, okay, I could get a degree, or if I go and get I don't like working in the warehouse, running around, walking around, picking boxes and that. I'll go and get a forklift license, and you can be the forklift driver that just sits around all day instead. You can upskill, you can change your skills, you can do something about it, but it all starts with actually doing something about it. So knowledge is a powerful thing, and it's also understanding. It's not for somebody else to give it to you, it's for you to actually go out there and get it. Everything I do. My company, for example, I'm doing that master's degree. They didn't offer it me. I was actually trying to get training for my team. And I come across it myself, and then says, yeah, I'll do that. And then bizarrely, they said, oh, we need your business needs to be involved in it. I'm like, well, I don't really want them involved. But long story short, still got my master's degree, even got it funded. And if you want to do a master's degree, get in touch. If you want to do healthcare training for free, get in touch, because I've got contacts for all of this. Because like I said, I was looking for training courses for my own guys. So the point is, knowledge is power. Knowledge is everything. In the same way, if you've got weak spots in your intelligence or whatever, weak spots in your intelligence is more to do with the fact that you don't know enough about the subject. I had a friend yesterday doing something, one of these tests that you do for personality tests. Now, he hasn't been doing that type of stuff for God knows how long. So the fact is, I said to him, look, go and do brain trainers, go and do stuff that's relative to it. Have a look online, do a bit of investigation, so that when you go in there, you're fresh. You've been doing puzzles all week or whatever, so that you're going in with the right mindset and understanding what they're looking for, because those are not designed for one person. They're different personalities, and other ones are for different job roles. So they're looking for certain key skills for certain roles, and they can pull them out. And if you understand it, you can manipulate these things. But there you go. There's a knowledge base for a specific task, getting through a job interview. Next one is health and fitness. Health from a fitness point of view. I've got to admit, I'm trying to do like 3 or 4. Well, I'll do at least 3 days a week. I try to do 5. I've got this VR boxing thing. I've got my treadmill here. My kids made it a bloody junk shop. I'm going to have a word with him this morning. He seems to be stacking crap. He needs to put stuff away, or it'll find its way in the skip. But the point being is, you've got to start getting into the motions of fitness. Even if you fall off the wheel and go, I can't be bothered today, do it tomorrow. Get up half asleep and just go on the treadmill or something. You've got to keep yourself fit. The older you get, the slower your metabolism, etc., the more it becomes harder to lose the weight, which means your motivation can go down as well. So it means that you've got to become more disciplined and stuff like that. I know I have an issue with this, but my issue has predominantly been this nasty thing called work. Because the problem is I spend too much time sat in front of a computer, hence I've got the treadmill. But because I'm currently doing spreadsheets, I'm finding it difficult to use a mouse and be fast walking at the same time, because the screen's like that. It's hard to work. But I've got this boxing app on the VR headset. That's really good because it's a a high calorie count in a short period of time. But the other thing is, it's better to be moving regular. So doing that for 15 minutes to an hour a day is good, but also go for a walk, go for a cycle, keep motivated. A lot of it is keep moving. You'll see these people online that are doing the chairs, lifting the legs, because it's all about movement. If you're moving, you're burning weight. it does look a bit weird when you see some of these people are just like, and what they're doing is just burning as much energy as possible. But guess what? Bloody well works. So key to that is don't think about what anybody else thinks. To hell with them. You know, if you're overweight, that's for you. You're dealing with it. You know, going to the gym and seeing these people with their cameras going, you know, like, oh, look, I'm lifting a weight. Look, they're in a completely different world to you anyway. Not in the fact of fitness, they are in good health, but their mind's in a different place, often a different planet. So the point being is, you're there to get fitter. You're there to get healthier. You're there to get something that maintains. You don't want to be doing something that's just, it's a fad, then you stop. You've got to develop stuff that you'll continue doing, hence the treadmill. Because I look outside and I can go for a walk, you know, that's what a lot of people do in the morning. But they've done the boardwalk up at the minute. But you can go for a walk. You can do something about it. It's low impact, doesn't put too much pressure on the body. Swimming's another good one, but I could go swim in the sea, but I don't want my bit shriveling up because it's too cold. But it won't be long till that's nice and warm. But your health is prime. You've got to keep healthy. I can't stipulate it enough. The same as recognise how much alcohol you use, how long you work. You know, if you're sitting in that screen for 60 hours a week, stop it. If you're paid for 40 hours a week, cut it down to 40. But also recognise you've got to have a break. You know, every sort of 45 minutes, go and make a cup of tea, go and have a chat with somebody in the office, do something else. Do not keep sitting on the screen. Although your productivity is at 60, you know, 60 hours a week, why are you giving them, what's that? An extra, 25% a year for free? It's not your problem, it's their problem. Lower your productivity and invest in yourself. You got to work to pay the bills. There's a whole, this gets back to the knowledge piece as well. You'll find people in the office that do bugger all, spend most of the time kissing arse, and get promoted and everything else, because they found the golden thing is just go through on that level, but invest in your training, kiss the arse, and you'll get promoted. Now, for me, ethically, it doesn't fit for me. And I'm at a point where when I move, you know, I'm waiting for a move on a business, but I'll be moving, if it all goes ahead, I'll be moving, and then I'll be moving to director in a short period of time. But the point being is, I've done it on merit, and it's much harder on merit. I could have been kissing ass for years and getting promoted. It just goes against the grain for me. But reality is, if you watch some of these people, they're often no idea what they're doing. They rely on deflecting all their work onto other people. They dump the responsibilities. They dump the liabilities. They just focus on kissing the backside of the people above them so that they can go, oh, he's performing well. But when they go, hang on, John, where's those reports? Oh, Tracy's dealing with them. I've told her already they should have been, yeah, okay, yeah. Not the fact that it'd been delegated to John in the first place. The first thing he's done is go, it's this other person, it's not me. See, I'm more the mindset of, why are you not doing it? I gave them to you. I didn't tell you to delegate them. I know what Tracy's working on. But where the world doesn't work the same way I do. So just bear that in mind. But so the point on that is actually reduce the amount of effort you're putting in at work. Unless you're looking for a promotion, unless the opportunities are there. You know, let's face it, a lot of companies, there is very little opportunity to progress. And we're often pushed on accelerating, but there's no carrot. You know, I've seen a nice TikTok, was it yesterday? 2 days ago actually, about the PDP. There's performance development plan. You know, because you have these annual reviews about your personal development, how you're going to progress, how you're going to do this. And you're like, nah, I'm quite happy where I am. Yeah, I don't need any more personal development. I'm fully developed. I don't need any more development. And what's your plan for next year? Absolutely nothing. Nothing this year, nothing next year, nothing going forward. I'm not, in other words, my job's not going to change. I'm not developing any further. Let's just be realistic. It's a tick box exercise, and most of the time it is. Sometimes it affects your bonus, but a lot of these times the bonuses ain't worth it anyway. So you're sort of going, well, keep the bonus. I'd rather have the hours back. There's no benefit to me working harder for you when I'm better off working harder for me on my training, on my health, on my wealth, which doesn't need you involved in anything I'm doing. So take that in mind. You look at how your day's used. Look at how much effort you're putting in. The next bit will fall into this as well, because you've got to understand, how long does it take you to get to work? How long are you spending at work? When do you get back home? What do you do during that day? Is there stuff you can improve in that day? Is there, instead of sitting in the canteen, would you rather go for a walk? Would you rather meet up with friends or family at, a restaurant or something in town? Because you're not far from there or whatever. There is other options in there that you're probably not doing because you go through the motions, and that's part of being based, is not only recognizing where you are today, because looking in the past in a negative way is pointless unless you're actually pulling something out of it. You're recognizing things that are wrong or whatever, but you shouldn't let it hold back for tomorrow. But for that, for example, if you're sitting in the office and go, you know what, I eat my lunch at my desk every day. Why am I doing this? I still answer the bloody phone, so I'm not getting switching off. At the same time, everyone keeps coming up and asking me stuff when I'm trying to have my lunch. But part of the legislation is they've got to provide a eating area anyway. But then again, do I even want to be in the office at lunchtime? Well, the park's outside, or we're 10 minutes from the shops. Why don't I just walk up the shops? A bit of exercise, switch off. Doesn't even matter if you buy that much. You go up there, buy a can of Coke or something. It's exercising. I know someone's going to say, there's too much sugar in Coke. Yeah, I know. It was just an example. So next one is diet. Now we're on to the Coke. Fizzy drinks are a major problem for the majority of people because they're part of our diet. I mean, I used to have the Pop Man every Wednesday, I think it was, when I was a kid, and they'd drop off, I think, 1 litre bottles back then. You get 12 1 litre bottles. I remember Panda Cola being 9p at the local supermarket when I walked to school. But the fact is, it's been ingrained as part of what you need. You go into a fast food restaurant, it's a lot of fizzy drinks. It's normally fizzy drinks, alcohol, and then water, whatever. Reality is, there's no problem drinking in moderation, but because this has become part of almost a water replacement, too many people are drinking it like water. One of the things I do is I have a lot of carbonated water, your fizzy water from the shops. So I drink that. I do have normal water as well, but I do like the fizzy water because I don't know why. I mean, but I have litres of that. I mean, I get through probably somewhere between 8 and 15 litres a week or something. But the thing with that is, it is a little bit of a substitute because you've still got the bubbles. It hasn't got the flavour, but at the same time you've got the bubbles. There is always other solutions. The other thing is, I like fruit smoothies as well. I get these from Mindful Chef. So they're pre-packed frozen fruit, where they're basically, you go in the freezer, I take them out of the freezer, put them in the blender, and I put coconut water or coconut milk in there. I don't put water in, but I normally coconut water, to be fair. I blend that up and I'll have that as a breakfast or a brunch. They're quite good. If you want to lose some weight as well, Exanti do these smooth shakes, although I think there's a lot of sugar in them, but I do find that you'll lose weight quite quick with those. So they are worth looking at. Exante, Exanti. And I think even the NHS has started to use them as well, allegedly. I was told that by somebody else. But if you want to lose weight, start substituting some of your meals. Also recognising, if you're eating, one of the things I do, and I've done this since I was a little kid, is have one meal a day. When I'm here in Spain, my wife, because she's from the Philippines, they eat like for 3 meals, 6 meals. There's always something, they don't eat, people from the Philippines don't eat a lot, but they eat regularly. So the problem I have is I've been brought up where you got to clear your plate, and then I'm having too many meals, and we've already had a conversation like, look, this is way too much food for me. It's not good, it's not healthy. I'm eating too often, because my wife will just keep, every time she's eating, giving me plates. So I'm going to start going back to more my own diet. Like, for example, I'll have my coffee, no breakfast. People will say, well, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I go, it is, but I don't like cold food in the morning. But sometimes I'll have the smoothie. Why do I have the smoothie then? Because I normally have it in the car. I'm normally an hour down the motorway or something when I have it. First thing in the morning, I don't feel like eating. In reality, I think the best time to eat is actually having a big lunch, and then you've got the rest of the day to burn it off, and then light evening meal or no meal at all in the evening. But historically, it was always 5 p.m. So I know my diet's always been all over the place, but I recognise it. And that's part of the problem, is you've got to recognise you need to make changes. And then the biggest problem I have is sitting here. It doesn't make me eat more, but it does mean I move less. So changing the diet is important. I'll just give you 2 examples for weight loss, but also recognise that our dietary system has been altered. You may think, because I definitely do, I was much healthier when I was a kid. Yeah, my diet hasn't changed that much, when I'm in the UK. But then again, the food has. Triple fried frozen chips. We used to get a sack of Spuds. They were dropped off every week. I think that was a Tuesday. 20 kilo, was it 20? It might be 22, 25 kilo sack. And that used to be in the old coal shed. And then you get my mother would get potatoes, sit and peel the potatoes. The food was all firstly it would be organic back then, but also it was a case of it wasn't messed with. A chip wasn't messed around with in some factory and frozen and stuck in a plastic bag or whatever. It was a potato and a big sack of potatoes. It had to be turned into a chip, and it was turned into a chip at home. It's not gone through a factory process. It hasn't gone through adding preservatives, additives and everything else, because it's already broken the potato. We're getting a lot of crap in our food. It may shock you. Bread, look at the number of ingredients on the loaf of bread. I think you only need 5, and there must be over 30 in most bread. I've got to admit, Spain, their food is much, much better. It's not even comparable to the UK in many cases. Even the supermarkets, there's a lot more produce that's not frozen, not pre-packed. It's, for example, they have real fishmongers here. One of the ones I recommend is actually chicken. I get, when I was coming out, when I went to the Philippines the first time, I used to get rotisserie chicken. I'd have rotisserie chicken, and then I would have tuna mayonnaise baguettes, and that was all I ate. And I ate that for about a year or something. But when I started it, with the going to the gym every day as well, back then, I was losing 1 kilo a week, because dietary, it was very good. The tuna's very good. The chicken's very good. There's nothing in it. You know, it's not being messed around with. It's tuna flakes and tuna chunks, and it's chicken with the skin on it. The skin's obviously got the majority of the fat, but it's the most tasty bit. So I still eat the skin, but still lost a lot of weight because these things very easy to lose weight with because they're not messed with. Look at that when you go out shopping. Have a look at what's on the back of your ingredients. Look what the additives are. Look how much sugar's in it. You look at even like things that allegedly are healthy, like when people promote cereals or the what do you call it? The oats. You know, the flavor. You know, fruit oats or whatever. Have a look at the sugar content. Have a look at any additives or preservatives in them. You may be surprised. But that's part of this diet thing. It's not just about cut down your food. It's seeing what's on your plate. Because it may not be a case of you need to cut it down. You may just need to change what's on it. You know, put some fruit in there. Put some vegetables in there. You know, change what you're eating. It can have a massive impact. And I don't like going down the hippie route of being vegan and all that stuff. Because I start going, well, hang on, surely vegan is processed. It's got to be hyper processed, surely. Okay, that's enough on diet. But these things are just to sort of get your mind going on what I'd recommend just sort of thinking about. And they are top 10, so you could write these down yourself, going 1, 2, 3. So far I've got 1, knowledge, 2, health, fitness, 3, diet. 4th is finance. There's 2 key things to life. Well, 3. First one, I'll put them in order as well. First one is debt. Getting rid of debt. People talk about good debt, bad debt. My personal view is no debt's the best debt. Second one above that is because if you clear your debt, is staying where you are. It's being based. All your bills paid. That's what that is. That's your treading water. You've got no debts. You got your car. You got, you know, may not be the new car, may not be the biggest house, etc. But you can stay where you are for the rest of your life. That's the second one, sort of your day to day. And then the next one is your wealth, your retirement, your pension. Personally, I don't believe in pensions. I think they're parasitical. Let's face it. You work your entire life in the UK for a state pension. How many years you going to get out of it? They go, well, people are living longer. It's like, hang on. But my dad lasted 4 years. He paid into it since he was probably about 17 till he was 67. Did he get his value for money? Definitely not. Oh, we've got an idea though. You can have a private pension to offset that. No, why don't I have private investments instead? Why don't I use my ISA instead? You've got to bear in mind, a lot of this stuff is set up for corporate and corporations and the government. It's not for us. It's like, you keep putting that money in, we'll give you tax incentives. Well, if I die, I want it to go to my wife, my kids. I don't want it just disappearing off the face of the earth. I want to get to the point where, say, I'm getting a bit ropey and I want to start siphoning the money off to family and whatever, so that when I die, there's like £10 in the bank and there's no tax duty or nothing left to give to the state. Apologies there, I had to drink my tea, my coffee. So the fact is, the key to it is get your debt gone first, because that'll keep holding you back. Next one is you need to get base where all your bills are paid on a regular basis and understand where your bills are. I didn't want to. I'm gonna have to. You know what? I'm gonna have to set up a whiteboard. I'm gonna go through some of this stuff. Let me get my pen and paper. I'm going to write this down. The reason being, I'll do another video on it. So it's like the box system for finance, which is about your financial control, and it's sort of going car costs, emergency budget for car. Well, you may just have one emergency budget, full stop, where it's for, you know, the TV breaks, fridge breaks, washing machine needs repaired. You build a little fund for that. Your car cost, and then you start moving to your future costs, which may be that you're putting, I don't know, £100 a month away for a new car, or £1,000 a month away for a new car. But personally, I'd rather you invested in yourself rather than a piece of metal that the majority of the profit goes to a car company. So you got your, get rid of the debt is your key one. Once you're debt free, your cost of living in the middle gets easier, because you're not having money siphoned away plus interest. You're starting to tread water. Then you start going, investing in yourself, want a new car, start putting a little bit of money away every month, going on holiday, put a little bit of money away for that. But I'll do a box system for that anyway. But financial control is one of the key ones, because you ask what most people, what's the biggest reason for divorce and failures of relationships in the UK? I bet you it's still money. I can guarantee it, because the cost of living crisis, hyperinflation I call it, everything going up is inflation. They've just branded it something else. And then, like I say, they're complaining about the profits of Tesco and whatever. I agree, the exorbitant, but at the same time, if you ask me how much is an orange today and how much is an orange when their last profits were, has it gone up 30%? Which means the value of that profit, its real value, is down 30%, because inflation has played its card. But people generally won't talk about that stuff, and it's definitely not put in the media that that's exactly what's going on. Because everything you own has been devalued. That's the reality of it. Every penny you've got. I mean, I had a pay rise this month. Might as well just go in a bin. In reality, I'm probably at least 8% worse off than I was last year. Why? If you had a pay rise, because the cost of everything went up. My rent went up by about 30%, which is way over offsets anything I got as a pay rise. So yeah, finances are important. Position. Now this gets back to, tied in with the position, finances, but this is your literal position today. For me, sitting looking at the beach, I'm content where I am. My son's got a concert today. He's playing the piano in Torrevieja town in the musical hall. Really good. I'm really excited and proud of him. That's where I am today. Did you hear me mention work? No, it's Saturday. Did you hear me he'll work tomorrow? No, it'll be Sunday. Recognize your position. Also include your days. If it's your weekend, use it as a bloody weekend. Don't stress about work. Do not create anxiety. Do not apply pressure to yourself. Recognize that the weekend is yours. That's your space. It's for what you want to do. It is important that you create these spaces during the week. We've already discussed about improving your fitness and health and everything around how you use your work day. So you sort of analyze it and go, you know what, I sit at my desk for 8 hours a day, right? But I'm entitled to a tea break at 10 o'clock, and I'm entitled to a lunch break at 12 o'clock. So why am I still sat at the desk? And if you look into the company policies around VDUs, visual display units, there are health and safety related things around how long you can sit at a computer screen, which include taking regular breaks. You may even be able to get free eye tests and stuff. But do you know what? Request it from your HR department, whatever. It says, do we have a policy on VDUs? And you have to say VDUs because that's normally the generic policy for it. But it's about your desk height. It's about the distance you are from the screen. It's about your chair. It's all in there. So part of this is recognizing sometimes you give people too much space. They're going, oh, you're getting the chair over there, and you go over there and you can never get the chair comfy or whatever. Hence, we'll go back to position. So part of this is recognizing where you are, because often you'll give and give and give. Recognize if you're giving too much. Recognize and analyze what's going on in a non-biased way. And when I say non-biased, it's sort of more to do with not getting aggravated or annoyed. It's just to understand what is going on at a moment in time in a work, home life, the neighbour that keeps borrowing stuff, whatever. And you may go, okay, the neighbour keeps borrowing, right, need to have a word with them, going to stop it, that's it. And you make it an important thing, because these things become irritants. The less irritants you have in life, the happier you are. But it's important to just be based and look at everything. It's your financial position, it's your current space. But like I said, part of this is not to get frustrated with it. It's to say, right, I've got, like here, I'm now down to 54,000 whatever on the house. So that's a number. I'm not stressed about it. I'm not aggravated about it. Doesn't need to be paid next Tuesday or anything like that. It's just so I've got the number and I go, right, I want to do something about that. I want to do something about it. So maybe I write a book. Maybe I take a part-time job. Maybe I just start going, you know what, I keep putting X amount into savings. Why don't I start siphoning 50% of that off onto the mortgage instead? Which would be a dumb move at the moment because I'm getting 11% on my investments and the mortgage is 6% interest. But you can look at it that way. The whole point is actually just to see where your position is. In an unaggravated way. You may be angry at your partner over something that happened yesterday, but that was yesterday. But it's also recognizing the positives. So, I don't know, your partner has decided to strip all the wallpaper off in the back room. You got home from work and she's expecting you to do it this weekend. It's going to annoy you, but this is my sanctuary. Every morning, the first hour, I have a coffee, I look at today, look at what was going on yesterday, and think about where I am and where I'm going. In a balanced way. That's why my wife keeps trying to change things. I said, don't. I've been like this like my entire working life. Because obviously I wasn't drinking coffee at 8 years old. See, I had to think then, was I? But the point is to get in a position where you've got control of everything. This is about you. Everything you have in front of you is about you. How you deal with it, how you deal with the people, how you react, how you become emotional, how you fear things, how you engage with things. See, I mentioned earlier about the butt kissing for promotion. I despise all that. But at the same time, I recognise I want to go further up in the corporate world before I finish. So I proactively do something about it. I've increased my college courses. I've increased my knowledge base. I've studied and started to look more inward than outward. Because a lot of this stuff, I come from a military background, so we don't like the pampy stuff. It irritates the hell out of myself and a lot of people I know. But in the corporate world, they love it. They love it. Well done, woman leader. And I'm looking going, no, that's an over-promoted manager. And I don't know why you tag a woman on it. She's just doing her job, and pretty badly. But you're not being positive. You're not being. It's like, no, you doing this is not positive. That's for me sarcastic, destructive. They call it. Everybody gets a certificate. What a way to run the world. Everyone expects to get gold. And then we wonder why we've got so many problems on the planet. Anyway, that's what I say. But that's the bits I recognise in myself that I look and think, well, a load of crap. Let's have a Woman's Day for business. Oh, but men shouldn't have a Man's Day. How dare they? It's like comedy sketch from Harry Enfield, you know, it's just mental. But anyway, so your position. And like I said, I recognise that stuff in myself, that these people, I just think you're mental. Why are you segregating yourself off as if you're better, or promoting somebody above yourself? What are you doing? So that's number 5 position. Next one is well-being. Well-being fits in with some of this. And some of this is about recognising your environment around you, which your position should flag up. Taking time to absorb what's going on. I mean, I actually said to my boss to stop gaslighting me. I actually told him, stop it. I know what you're doing, just stop it. He didn't like it, but the reality is like, shut up. You know, I know what you're doing. Don't try and make out it's me. I know exactly what you're doing. You're doing it, fine. But don't sit there and say you're not doing it. You know, that's me just going, stop it. You're just going to antagonise me, because not only are you doing stuff that you know you shouldn't be doing, but you reinforced it by going, no, you're making it up. No, and I'm not getting into it a big way because it could affect my job at the minute. But the reality is, everything I said he was doing, he's done. And I told him before he did it. And then he started to make out it's all in my mind type thing, and then he's gone and done it. And I go, well, and it'll be, oh no, I don't remember this conversation. Anyway. So your well-being is important. That one, why would I get so antagonised with that? It's just tell them, shut up. Stop lying to me. You know, you're doing it, fine. Just go away, just do it. Because it doesn't matter what I say, not getting involved, not interested. Just stop coming to me as if pretending you're not doing it. It's in my face. And that's part of it, is recognising people manipulating things around you, people that are detrimental to your health. You know, maybe you got siblings or relatives that are just leeches. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. They will always be parasitical. Funny enough, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, I think it was, about he's got problems with I'm not even going to say who it, you know, what relation they are, but they're suffering with drug and alcohol abuse. He's made their life very comfortable because he's feeling responsible, in the sense of he's looking after a relative. You know, he's taking care of them. He's bringing them into the house. He's feeding them because they've lost weight. They're not looking good. And at the same time, I said to him, stop it. You're feeding his habit. I've just said it now. It's a he. Okay. You're feeding his habit. You know, he is coming to you. He's still working. He's still functioning. But at the same time, he's never got any money for food or that, because it's going in his arm, up his nose, down his neck. And all you've done is given him more money to be a bigger addict. Because the reason he's got no money left for food now is because he's using it. You invite him into your house, giving him a bed, everything else, you're giving him more money to be worse. And the same as a friend of mine said the same about her siblings. This was out in the Philippines, because she married a foreigner, and the foreigner is saying, He would give like some money every month for her mother and her siblings. And his new wife says, "Do not give my brothers money. You'll kill them." Well, what do you mean? He says, "Well, my father died of alcohol abuse. You give them money, they'll never be sober. Do not give them any money. If they've got no money, they go and work." So you got to bear in mind these types of things, because these people can affect you in a very negative way, because you start trying to help, and you may be dragging yourself down. I've got friends that are under a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, that is not theirs. It could be their children's an addict, could be a brother, a sister, or whatever. But you got to separate your life from theirs. That's why some people will say, "I don't want to talk about it, don't want to engage about it." They've shut that door. They've had to. But when that often happens, is they've been pulled that far down because they've done everything they can to help somebody, and it's dragged them down as well, to the point they thought about suicide or whatever. They've been pulled all the way down. Don't go down the road. That road is already paved. Too many people have already travelled there. You don't need to go down the same route. If you can see somebody's off the rails and whatever, yeah, maybe give them a sandwich now and again, but at the same time, they've got to get themselves back on that road. You may be able to give them some counselling information. You may be able to give them Alcoholics Anonymous, a phone number, etc., etc. But if they're not going to make the change, do not drag yourself down that road. Your well-being's far, far too important. The other side of this being is the opposite. Let's go positive. I like helping others. I find it is one of the most rewarding things out there. When I was out in the Philippines, the call centre we built, that generated employment opportunities for people in the area. Not only for a job in our centre, but most call centres you had to have a diploma or something to get in there. Once they've been to our call centre, they've got experience, they've got knowledge, they could walk into another call centre and get hired. Because they go, "If you work," they go, "Yeah, well, and you can, you know what you're doing." And it created an environment where people, even today, and that's probably nearly 10 years ago, still go, "Matt, when you open your centre again, I want to come back and work for you." They're already working elsewhere, but they like working for me. That's a major thing. But there's a lot of positivity in there, because firstly, I knew the job was crap. It was sales. So I hate sales. I hate people that phone me for sales. I'm probably one of the most abusive people you'll come across on the phone, because I hate people wasting my time. So you've got these people that are doing jobs that are horrible. So I made sure that the environment we had was good. We'd have sales of the week, and you get prizes, etc. We go out to a resort and stuff, and restaurants. But also it's little things where, for example, I knew their kids were sick, they'd get extra pay. And they'd sometimes come back to my wife and says, "You've overpaid me." And he says, "Oh yeah, my husband knows your kid's sick. It's for your kid's medicine, or your medical bills, whatever." Those things are important, because you may not even get an impact out of it. You may not even know about the results. But the fact is, you've done something positive. And it's not about, "Look at me, gold star." It's about, if that impacts somebody in a positive way, that's me. Here you go. That'll help you out. The weirdest one, just as an insight, is somebody was in a car crash. Somebody else contacted me because this person had no money for medical bills and stuff. They had some life-changing issues. This out in the Philippines. I do charity projects for a couple of people. And basically, I put some money towards this person's medical bills. They're not very wealthy. They've hand-to-mouth finances. And about a year later, this random person contacts me and says thank you. And I said, "Well, what for?" Because I paid her medical bills, and I think it actually helped keep her alive as well, because if you ain't got the money, they switch the machines off. And it was a bit of a weird thing for me, because I hadn't even thought about it past the point if somebody needed help and I gave them help. So when somebody actually said thank you, it's really weird for me, because I don't normally do that bit. I normally just keep out of it, but it is a bit of a humbling experience. So I do recommend helping others as well. It is a rewarding experience. But part of your well-being is recognizing the good and the bad of what's going on around you and the influences that are going on around you. The influences are worrying about your mortgage, worrying about your rent, worrying about your your job security, worrying about your relationships or things that are going on. But recognize what you can and can't influence. Your mortgage is your mortgage. It's not going to go up or down unless it's with the exchange rates. You've got no control over that. If you can't afford to pay it, you've got to analyse what your next steps are. Do not bury yourself in the ground. Well, you will bury yourself in the ground if you take all this pressure and stress on for a long time, but bury your head in the ground. You need to take things head on. What you find is if you take things head on, you have the initial stress, anxiety of it to a point, and then you can deal with it. So, for example, if you can't afford that house, you've got a 4-bedroom house, when it was a cheap mortgage, and now it's all gone up. Sell it, downsize, reduce your mortgage. Do it. Easier for you to say, look, you're living on something you can't afford. Wake up. You need to look at how you're going to make it happen. Rent out the spare room, whatever. But the fact is, if you're in that position, you need to do something about it, not ignore it. Ignoring it will not fix it. Hence, you create issues for your own well-being. It's the same as in relationships. Discuss the problems in the relationships. Anything that festers long-term gets worse. This is what I'm saying, if you're arguing with your partner and you look at your position today, is sit and think about the happy stuff, because you're frustrated about, I don't know, like I said, strip the wallpaper off or whatever, you just go, oh, she's driving me mad or whatever. But in reality, that's a moment in time. That passes and you should let it pass. You should go, it's Saturday. If she's like, I want it done this weekend, it's like, look at yourself. I've worked all week. We will do it next weekend. And so, we will do it next weekend. Oh, but I've got friends coming over. Look, I do not care. You didn't engage with me around it. You didn't ask me. You've just done it. Yeah, but I need it. It's like, look, I've worked all week. I'm relaxing. Maybe we'll do some tomorrow. Maybe we don't. But I didn't strip the room. You did. You've got to have some balance in there. And like I says, the way you're dealing with it is how you control the situation. That's the point. Getting annoyed and arguing back, you're just antagonising each other. It's not a solution. And if you've got a partner that doesn't listen, make them aware, look, this isn't working. I'm not going to be pushed around constantly. But marriage counselling is available on my website. Relationships are complex. But the fact is, you need to understand that you need to have your position. It's your weekend. It's your space. We'll get over other bits in a minute. Finances are stuff you can and can't control. This is why in your position, assess your finances. But you want to reduce your anxiety, stress and everything else on a daily basis by having your finances under control. If they're out of control, take some severe changes. No curry on a Friday night, because that £36 can go on the credit card bill instead. Get your credit card bill paid. Get it rid. Once it's paid, cut the thing up. Get rid of it. You don't need credit cards. You want to get into the other side. Debt. treading water, here. Once you're here, instead of giving the banks interest, your investments are giving you interest. That's why this step is quite hard, because once you get to here, you're starting to move into financial, not just stability, because here's stability. Here is freedom. Yeah, so well-being we've covered, I think, fair enough. Next one is family. Now, you notice I separated the arguing over the wallpaper. And just to be clear, that's not me and my wife. We don't have any wallpaper except for one wall in this house. Family is something you've got to put on balance. People say blood is thicker than water and all that. It's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. The basic for me is treat people the way you want to be treated, and you can't go far wrong from that. So I do recognise you've got to have empathy, sympathy, respect, but people have got to have that for you as well. See, I recognise when people come to me when they need stuff and nothing, you don't hear from the rest of the time. I recognise that. And I've started just cutting those people off completely, because it's just draining. But recognise where your family stops and starts as well, because you have, like me, I have my family unit. It's me, my wife, my kids, etc. Then I have like my parents, my wife's parents, which is down to my wife's mother now, because everyone else has died. Then I've got my siblings, then my wife's siblings. Because I work on a more of a patriarchy. I work on like a pyramid. I believe in like a head of a family and responsibilities, etc. So I will help out family if they need it, but it doesn't mean I'm an idiot. You know, for example, I recognise my Philippine side, I've got less financial capabilities, but their personalities and willingness to help you is far, far greater than my siblings. Well, my sister, my brothers are, well, one brother's dead now, but they are a completely different set of people, set of rules. So I don't really engage too much with my UK side anymore, and I definitely don't engage with the extended UK side because it's too political. Because the thing is, a lot of this, you know, like the old days. See, this will make more sense now. We used to go to my grandmother's for Christmas. So you'd have like my mother's siblings and their families. Everyone goes to my grandmother's. When she died, it all dispersed, and then you start to see the backbiting and all their negative stuff, because what my grandmother and my grandfather died a long time ago, but there was a control on there because they come from quite a rough family. So the fact is there was a lot of control on it, but at the same time, now I have my family unit, which is my wife, my kids, etc. My UK side is pretty much gone. There's only my brother left. My sister, I want nothing. I would never see her again. I'm not going to say it'd be too soon. I'm just not interested. She's just not got anything there. Her personality is just beyond reality. So for me, the focus on family is here. So my investment in family is kids' education. They're out of school abilities. So for example, playing the piano, my son does karate. into, you know, he has extra tuition for maths and stuff like that. And funny enough, he had a chemistry test yesterday and got like a 10 score out of 10 for chemistry. The fact is, these are things I didn't have as a kid. You know, my parents, we were feral. You know, my parents were just like, well, kids go to school, I believe. You know, we just left our own devices all the time. But we focus on the kids to make sure that they've got the best of everything. You know, when my son, he went to his first music lesson and the teacher said, well, you know, the keyboard, which keyboards he got? He's got this one. Oh, he needs a full piano. I ordered one the following week. Why would you make such a drastic expense, you know, instant? Because once I bought it, he will do it because, you know, he likes it. And last night Zoe started playing as well. So my kids are musical. When you know, they've got that natural ability to play music, but it's recognizing as their parent, you've sometimes got to nurture and shape people. We're in a weird place where we're actually telling kids they don't even know if they're a human. Him, her, she, he, penguin, goose. Stick all that. It's just nonsense. It's just people that got too much control in our education system. They're mental. There's no other word for it. You've got to structure some stuff. And I'll tell you now, just think about it yourself. If your parents had forced you to learn the piano, learn the guitar, learn to do something, and you hated it for years, if you come out the other side being able to play it, or become fluent in Russian, the skills are lifelong. And you may dread the fact that, you know, I hated that every Sunday, doing this, doing that. But then I'd ask you, did you practice during the week as well? Well, no. So that's why you didn't progress. My son has a piano, and I'll actually tell him when he's busy gaming or something, go and spend an hour on the piano. You've got to reinforce it, because it's not just about the piano. It's about structure. It's about discipline. It's about making the changes that will set him up for life. You know, it's like that making your bed every day. That's your starting point. My starting point's this, the coffee. I can't make the bed every day because, to be fair, I don't think my wife would like it because she's still in it. But the point is, you take your values and implant them on your kids, your ethics, your morals, your standards. Oh, kids should be able to make their own mind up. Most kids don't know what they're doing. Most adults don't know what they want in life, even in their 30s. So why would you assume that giving them no direction is the best direction? Steer them down a path. I mean, engineering is what I ended up in because my father was in engineering. Was that the right path for me? I'd have liked to have been an author. I'd have liked to have been a pilot. But reality is, my parents weren't going to pay for me to be a pilot. And I could still be an author and still get money from my engineering side. You've got to create some steps for your kids. In your relationship, build your relationship. And always see it as a work in progress. So make time for your wife, make time for your kids, make time to work as a family and as a couple. Some days you literally do need to go out for lunch and whatever as a couple without all the kids and noise and whatever, and have date nights and things like that, because it reinforces your relationships. And I know some guys out there may be going, oh yeah, I don't need that crap in my life. You know, Mary already knows, or well, maybe you're a gay couple. Dave already knows I love him. But in reality, if you start having the date nights and stuff, you may actually find that you rekindle some of your past as well. It's all worth it. Everything's about family. It's the same as I'm a strong believer in the patriarchy, because it works. Now, Matt, you're a misogynist, you're this, you're that, blah, blah, blah. Right. My wife lives in Spain, looks after the kids. That's what she wants all day. Once the kids go off to school, do what she wants. The bills are paid, lives on the coast, can meet up with her friends whenever she wants. She could have a job if she wants. There is nothing preventing my wife doing anything she wants. In fact, she will tell you that I actually say, do whatever you want. And it's not a negative thing. It's a bit like, when people say, well, what if your wife left you? I says, well, if she was going to leave me, she would have left already. And if she leaves tomorrow, I've got no control over that anyway. Why worry about it? And that gets into, if you suffer with jealousy or things like that, you've got to look at it from that perspective. It's like, just step back. If you're creating that tension or she's creating that tension, you don't need that in your life. You've just got to have balance. Balance is, all right, if you're going to walk away, don't worry about it. Oh yeah, the heartache, yeah. But the fact is, if you're in a constant state of tension, it's not a good state to be in. Yeah. Number 8, doing something for me. Now, we often do everything for everybody else. We've just talked about financially, I pay the mortgage. Financially, I deal with my son's tuition, buying pianos, my daughter, she needs anything, I buy everything. We sacrifice often everything because we get so used to doing that, we don't actually sit and think, what do I actually want to do? And it's important to recognise that this all goes back to your days of being, your position is sit and think, what do you actually want to do yourself? Because look at your week. Just have a look at your week. Today's a good day because it's Saturday. Look at your week. You get up, you go to work. What's your thoughts all week? Around work, about how busy the train is, how bad the traffic is, etc. The weekend, kids want to go play football or whatever. It's around the kids. You may have stuff to, your wife want to go to curry night on Friday or whatever. There is stuff going on all the time. You need a space that is yours. This is why I understand the shed clubs of Australia, which is sort of spreading out, where guys are just going to the shed clubs to make things and meet other guys and stuff. Because it's not about, I was talking to my wife about this yesterday, because some personal about guys need to cry and all this. I'm like, what are they talking about? They're confusing men with women. A lot of the stuff on psychology is written by women in recent years, bizarrely. Guys are generally not emotional in that way. Guys will wander off, go for a walk, go and make something in the shed, put a bit of music on, go and sit in their office. They're often very solemn and silent because they absorb. Absorbing it's not great either. Yeah, it's like you're talking from a woman's perspective. When people say about it builds up and it builds up, it depends on what it is. But from a women's perspective, women with an I, women, it's all about that. And I don't believe that's actually helpful in any sense. It's the whinging, it's the moaning, it's the complaining. Sometimes it's better just to walk away, etc. And that used to be the norm. I have no problems with guys that just want to keep themselves to themselves. In fact, it doesn't mean they're any less of a person. In fact, I would say you're being a man, because that's what men normally do. I'm not a fan of the in touch with the emotions type things. That's my personal opinion. Because for me, my wife puts it up. Her version of it is you get up more often than a dead soldier. In the sense of taking the knocks. I may have like for example, when my mother died, I just got a bottle of tequila, had the bottle of tequila, sat on my own, listened to music, following day, that's it, go. It's not sitting with sorrow and pain or whatever. You go away, you do your thing. It's not about expression. Can everyone see how drastic I am? Can everyone see how dramatic this affects me? It's not about that. It's about how you deal with stuff. And most men go to the shed or whatever. That doesn't mean they're less emotional. It's just they're not so public. And that's normal. And that's the bit no one seems to bloody talk about, is the fact is most guys just deal with it. Because patriarchy, sitting at the top, everybody's problem's your problem. Getting back to doing something for me. So for me, I'm perplexed on this one at the minute, because I like motorbikes and my wife doesn't like motorbikes, but I also need a new car, so I can't. I've got to find more revenue, so I won't buy a new car until I've increased my investment fund. So I've got to increase that heavily over the next 4 or 5 months, because the car's got about 2 years max left in it. So in theory, my investment fund's going up, but I maybe have to buy the bullet on the car. So I've got to get a cost on the car, and then I get a motorbike for me. So that gives me, I put a 2-year line on that. Why 2 years? Well, the investment fund is grown at probably about £1,000 a year now. I want to try and add another 50% into that this year, so it'll grow about £1,500 a year. That's not including everything I put in along that timeline as well. Because logically, if I put nothing in now, it'll be increased by 1,100 next year, just as a logic, because it starts snowballing. I'm not spending it, I'm not taking it out. The interest is reinvested. So the quicker that grows, the better it is long term. But I'm putting a 2-year timeline on getting the motorbike and stuff, because I'm going to get one. But that's about me, because my wife doesn't want me to have one. There's lots of reasons for that, but the freedom of a motorbike is amazing. But you need to do something for yourself. Now, part of that may be to travel, on your own. It may be get a motorbike. It may be going on a photography course. It may be whatever you want it to be, but it's about you. And the reason it's important about you is you'll often put stuff off and sacrifice for others. So for example, I want to go and see the Northern Lights. So the tickets are about anywhere between £2,000 and £6,000 a ticket. It was going with my wife, that's 12 grand. Say getting half the money is easy. Getting double it is twice as hard. So just bear that in mind. You do need to make time for yourself. That includes the gym. It includes time during the week. See, yesterday I come up and sat on there and I played the Xbox for a couple of hours because I'd had enough with work, doing my head in. So I finished work, I sat there, and then I had to take my. Where did we go yesterday? We went somewhere yesterday. But the fact is, you've got to create time for yourself. It may be the coffee in the morning. It may be going to the gym for an hour every night. It may be going for a walk in the park on your own. Because it is about you. It ties in with your well-being. It ties in with your position. But it is important. And then number 9 is learning to relax. This sounds so easy, but in reality, we have that much going on in our lives now. It's becoming harder and harder to relax. The only reason my phone is up here with me at the minute is because I'm talking to you guys on it. I'm recording on it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be here. It'd be sat downstairs. And funny enough, when I'm working during the week, I leave it up here because I leave it where people will phone me. Because once it hits 5 o'clock, it's off. I'm not in work mode. In the same way, at the weekend, I'll leave it downstairs and stuff because I'm having my coffee, and I'll answer it when I'm ready. You've got to give yourself space and time. All this electronics around me, you'll notice it's all switched off except for this. I'm listening to the birds outside. I've got this little solar water fountain that the birds sit splash around in and have a drink. We've got just looking at bird feeder as well. It's learning to relax. I mean, I'm not a type of guy. I'm more a case of sitting here, watching the waves out my window, listen to the birds, listen to the fountain. I think there's something in the way of the fountain out there. But you've got to learn to relax. It's not good to be at a high tension point all the time. But all the other stuff that's come before this, 1 to 9, is about removing a lot of the pressure you're putting on yourself. And you are putting on yourself. If you've got a boss that's coming round making your life hell, you're letting them do it. Why is that? Because you're putting up with it. There's the door, get another job. There's your boss, go and tell him he's a twat and tell him to stop doing it or you'll smack him in the mouth. There's different ways of dealing with things. I remember my old Carillion days where my boss had rang me up and said, you must be at this place at 7 o'clock in the morning. I says, no, they don't. And he didn't know what to say. I says, there is no must. You would like me to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning. But just to bring to your attention, my contract's 9 till 5. I'm not on call. I could tell you to stick the job up your backside. I could come and find you and smack you in the mouth. There is many options, but must is not one of them. At which point he retracted a bit and says, could you please? I says, yes, that's fine. A little decorum and manners goes a long way. But that's about generating an environment of respect. Where I'm working, there is no respect for anybody. But hey, we're already doing something about that. Number 10, we've already talked a little bit. With kids, enhance them. There's a couple of things on this that's important. Firstly, learn to play with the kids. It's hard work. Mine are now teenagers. We got a basketball court over here. And you know what? I'm going to take Zoe and Obi. Well, Obi probably won't be out of bed yet. But I'm going to go and take Zoe and play basketball for an hour over there. Spend time with your kids. Do stuff. Obi doesn't like basketball because he said he's not very good at sports. Yeah, he's doing really good at karate. And I think it was a case of I was away too much. When I was working a lot more hours. Now I'm home more. That's in balance. But the point being is you've got to spend time with your kids. Train them. Play with them. Train them. They're not pet dog. It's a little thing. My son likes doing graphic design. He likes bits of programming and stuff. So I've bought him courses on Udemy. So he's currently learning how to do Blender. So he's got a 40-hour course that he's doing on Blender. You can get kids, bizarrely, to do courses that they may need to do in their future life, or being an adult, when they're younger, if it's something they're interested in. If your kid's interested in Excel, get them another hobby. But in Blender, really good. It's useful for him. It also gives structure of learning to work your way through courses. It also gives him the incentive of going, Dad, I like this course, can I do this one? Give us 20 quid or whatever, and I'll buy the course for him. We're in a weird society, right? Where do parents have the audacity and stuff to put kids on adult courses. Bizarrely, there is no rule on that. There's no course that says you must be 16 or over that I'm aware of, on these types of things. Young Sheldon is evidence of that in society from a TV perspective. Your kids can be getting diplomas and certificates and stuff before they leave secondary school. They could be going into their first job better qualified than their managers. Just a thought, because you can get all the health and safety certs and everything else while they're still at school. Gives them for example, doing a NEBOSH is a 12 months course. Coming out of secondary school with an NEBOSH, a health and safety course, or doing an IOSH, which is 22 hours. Lots of little certificates that make you compliant for a workplace, giving the kids a head up if they want to do that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not telling him to do a health and safety course. Well, I'm telling he wanted to do Blender. I said, pick a course, and that's what he wanted to do. But now he can see there's so many things. Oh, maybe I want to do data analysis. Maybe I want to. You're enhancing your kids. You're giving them some of the teachers that don't do it. They say, this is what we're studying today. This is what we're doing. This is it. You're saying, pick what you want. Because I'm not sending my kids down going, right, you're not doing French really well at school, so I'll put you on a French course online. Because I'll tell you now, my answer to that was, I was bored of French in school. That's why I wasn't studying it. It wasn't that I couldn't study it, I wasn't interested. Start them on stuff that they're interested in, the boring stuff they can get when they're older. It's time, take time with them, teach them stuff, teach them cookery, teach them to bake, teach them about raw ingredients, not microwave meals. Get them in a place that is more in line with probably 40 years ago. Why? Because that will set them up for the future. So I think we're in an environment that's going to change. I think we're in a very, very volatile position at the minute. The woke stuff will backfire. Oh, that's in your opinion. Come on. A lot of these people seem very dysfunctional. There's a high risk in there. They're being over promoted. There's a lot of people being over promoted. There's a lot of risk when they start putting them into roles that their potential kill others or will kill others. Not on about running around trying to. I'm on about where a half qualified pilot or somebody is a surgeon that's not really a surgeon. Somebody fluffed their numbers because they needed to make a quota. Sounds mad, but that's the world we're entering. And the backlash will appear later, because from what I can see, in my personal opinion, cover up, this happens, cover up. Eventually, it gets too big to cover up, and then the thread pulls, and you can see everything coming out. At that point, it's not so quiet. The average person at the moment is fairly quiet because they're too busy, they've got too many bills. The whole financial nonsense crisis is about control. It's not about money. It's about controlling your money to control you. It's inflation. The UK does not pay its deficit, which means it does not pay its debt, because it's not paying the interest on the debt. The interest is your deficit. So, you say your debt's £1,000 and your interest £100. The UK is probably paying £50 a month. So the debt gets bigger. That's how bad the finances are in the UK. Now, many people have learned the political response to that, which is to compare it against another country, not get your own house in order, which is basically turn around and say, yeah, you are right, what we're going to do about it? Because the whole arena here is deflection, and to create people on deflection. But like the 10 things we talked about now, This is about us. This is about us as an individual. This is our control. This is us moving forward. This is how we see things. This is how we think about it. This is about you and your perception, your understanding, and your education on the things around you. To question, to understand, to verify, and recognize. This is a long video, 1.5 hours, but I thought it was an important one today because it does cover a lot of topics. And hopefully at least some people will go to the end of these videos, because I do think these are videos that, if you're not doing this stuff already, do recommend writing the 10 down and just going through them yourself and thinking about it, because the biggest problem we have today is we're kept busy. We are kept busy. It's not for your convenience, right? Remember the convenience, right? Before, you used to have pay things with cash. So you'd go to the cash point, put a 4-digit pin in, and you get your money out. Doing a bank transfer is a little bit more complex, etc. But generally, for most things, it's cash. Then they started the introduction of this cards. Then it's moved to phones. Then it's moved to, we need your thumbprint. You need 2-step authentication. We need a copy of your passport to confirm it is you, even though you set the account up. We need to change your password because we've had a data breach. It's got more and more complex, and more your time is being used to do simple tasks that once existed, which was card, ATM, or cash point. Because ATM, I think it's an automatic teller machine, because it's an American term. But the point is, you used to do it in cash. But cash isn't control, is it? That's control. I know how much is in your account. I know where you spent it. I know where you transferred it. I know how much money you took out. Don't know where it went. But we're limiting how much money you can take out. And we're also limiting how much money you can put in. Because we want to control you. We own you. We own you. And that's the way you sort of got to look at this stuff, is because that's the way this is set up. So a lot of the time, I pay with cash. I'm deliberately being awkward, if I can be, because I don't agree with a lot of this stuff. I don't believe in cashless supermarkets. I believe that the society we're heading down is not utopian for anybody. It's a corporate control and state controlled environment. But it doesn't mean it's a lost battle. Looking at the 10, controlling your life, understanding what's been going on around you, you can counteract things. But also, it keeps you in your space. Your space, not in a negative way, but you can see everything. You can understand everything. You can understand, like the word trigger. When did that start appearing? That's only a recent term. They were triggered. They're safe space. These are all things that have come out of this bloody last couple of years nonsense. See, they say it's triggered as if somebody's got a response out of you. Oh, you were triggered, or you were triggering them. As if, well, it's not triggering. It's a debate. Somebody said something they don't like. Trigger is just to do with a response. It's just become a buzzword that is in too much media. Stuff to think about. But anyway, it's the weekend. Go and enjoy it. I'm going to go downstairs, see what the kids are doing, and probably go and play basketball. Take care.